Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Aubrey. I'm so happy to have you all here with me today. So it is time for part 2 of the series that I want to continue in 2025 list. So I did a part 1 of this. If you haven't seen it yet, I will link it down below in the description, where I essentially decided it would be a good idea to do a check-in as we approach the middle of the year and go over series that I have started that I still want to continue in the, next half or current little bit of the year. So, as I said, I did part 1 and we talked about 12 books in that video. So today we're going to talk about 11 in this video. And I'm filming this a little bit early because part 1 will have come out a few weeks before part 2. But I didn't want to leave these books just sitting out on my floor for 2 weeks while I waited for it to be time for this video to come out, and I also didn't want to put them all back and then have to get them back out again. So we're filming this now, and it has been really rainy and kind of cold the last few days at the time that I'm filming this, so I've got on a nice cozy sweatshirt. But yeah, so let's just go ahead and get started. As usual, we will go through these alphabetically. So again, if you want to see the first half of this list, I'll link the part 1 video down below. But today, we are starting with Jackabe by William Ritter. So I have only read the first book in the series, and I really enjoyed it. I do have the rest of the series, and so I do really want to at least continue it, if not finish it, probably this fall or winter, because the atmosphere, the aesthetic, the time period, all of it makes me really think of like fall or winter, because it does have a sort of Victorian setting. And essentially we follow this girl, Abigail, who has kind of run away from home. She was sent off to go to a finishing school for girls, but she took the money and went on an adventure instead. And now she has run out of money, and she finds herself in this town. I can't remember. New Fiddleham, New England, and meets a man named Jackabe. And Jackabe is a detective. He helps to solve crimes and mysterious events. But Jackabe solves crimes that are related to the supernatural, because he has an ability that he is able to see and detect the supernatural, even though most people don't believe that these beings even exist. So Abigail ends up helping him solve a case and becoming his assistant, and it was just so lovely. It is very Sherlock Holmes coded in a number of different ways. For example, Jackabe is a detective who sees things that other people don't. In this case, though, it is not just his abilities of deduction, but his ability to recognize the supernatural. And he's kind of ostracized, looked down on, made fun of by a number of people. But then other people who he have helped respect him very greatly. He has a hard time fitting in. So in a lot of ways, he does remind me of Sherlock Holmes as a character. But it is also very different, and it's so fun. I love detective stories. I really like Abigail's character Abigail as a character, excuse me. And I also am just really enjoying the sort of found family that these two start to form, as well as with Jackabe's housemates. That's all I'm going to say about them. And it's also, I love the supernatural elements. I love, it's just one of those tropes that I really enjoy, where you have this community, this world that exists alongside our own, and most people are unaware of it. And then we have certain people who can interact with both worlds freely, and I just find that trope very enjoyable. And again, I just really like Abigail. I really like how good she is at just being herself. She doesn't fit into that trope of like not like other girls. She is still a girl. She's just a person, right? That's what I really like about her. She reads as just a person, not a girl trying to avoid being a girl, but just a person who knows what they like and are interested in. And I just really enjoy that. So yeah, I'm really excited to continue this. This is the second book in the series, Beastly Bones. I at least want to read this one this year, probably more. We'll have to see how it goes. But like I said, I am saving this for either my fall or winter TBR. Alright, next I have a series that I don't actually have the next book in my possession yet, so I'll just put up a picture, but that is Lout of Count's Family. I have read the first 3 books in the series and I really enjoy it. It's just a really fun time, and I have a great fondness for isekai where the main character is very competent and is using their knowledge to succeed. I also have a great fondness for characters who are genuinely good people and kind of gather these people around them who care about them. And sometimes these characters don't realize that these people genuinely care about them or how much they care about them, and I don't know. I'm kind of a sucker for that trope, so that is definitely in this. But like I said, I've read the first 3 books, and volume 4 I think comes out in June. It's either June or July, and I have pre-ordered it. So I'm including it on this list because I am going to have the next book in my possession very soon. But in this story, we follow Kim Rok-soo. I'm sorry if I mispronounce any of the Korean names. I am very unfamiliar with how you pronounce Korean. But Kim Rok-soo is isekai'd. He dies in his current life in Korea and wakes up in a novel series that he has started reading. But he wakes up not as the main character or as the main antagonist, but as a minor antagonist named Kale Hinatuse, who is the son of a noble. And the new Kale decides that he is going to use his knowledge of the story to make sure that he can live a comfortable and safe life. So to do this, he needs to build up allies, he needs to get protection, he needs to get money. So he is basically using his knowledge of the secrets held in the novels about this world to find ways to make himself stronger, to earn money so that he can keep himself and the people he is growing to care about safe, because war is potentially brewing on the horizon. So it's a really, really fun light novel series. I'm really enjoying it, and again, it just has tropes that I really like. It's not anything like groundbreaking or anything like that, but I really, really like it. I really like the characters. I really enjoy seeing Kale be very competent at what he does, and his ability to get what he wants and to endear himself to people even when he doesn't exactly realize that he's doing that. And I'm just really enjoying it. So it is another series that I really want to continue. In fact, probably as soon as I get book 4 and then also have finished whatever book I'm reading at the time, that'll be the next one that I read. Okay, then I have 2 manga series. So the first one is Magus of the Library by Mitsu Izumi. This is volume 4, so again, I have read the first 3 volumes of this, and I love it so much. So much. It is one of the most beautifully drawn manga series I have ever seen. The art is just absolutely fantastic and detailed and beautiful, and I love it. But in this series, we follow Theo. And Theo is a young boy who's living in a very kind of rural, remote village. And he's ostracized by pretty much everyone in this village for 2 reasons. Number 1, he is an orphan who lives in the slums with his older sister, who does her best to take care of him after she found him and adopted him. So he is very, very poor, doesn't have any resources, and his sister works very hard to be able to afford to send him to school so that he can get an education. And then number 2, he's not completely human. So Theo is half human and half something else. While the other people in his village have darker skin and hair and eyes, Theo is very pale. He has blonde hair, green eyes, and pointed ears. So he is half a race that, I can't remember what they call it in this world, but we would call elves, which is a race that has kind of been, there's a lot of prejudice against this particular group of people for a number of reasons that you kind of find out, or as I am starting to find out as the series goes on. And so Theo is very ostracized. He's not treated well. He's looked down on by a lot of people in the village, but all he wants to do is read books. And he's not allowed to because he's not allowed access to the library. And he's kind of giving up on life when one day he meets a Kafna. And a Kafna is a librarian from the great library in the great city of Afsak, the city of books. And Theo finds his life being changed by this encounter with this Kofnet, and he decides that he wants nothing more than to become a Kofnet himself. And so he starts a journey of growing and learning and doing his best to be able to pass the exam and become a Kofnet. And it's so wonderful seeing Theo grow as a person and learn to love himself despite his differences, and seeing him affect others. And it just has this message of how we should not judge people by their appearance, by their race, by where they come from, but rather who they are as a person. And it also is just a love letter to reading and books, and how important they are, and how much they can change someone's life, and how much they can inspire empathy for others and understanding for people different than ourselves. And it's just, if you can't tell, I love it a lot. So I've read the first 3 volumes. I do have volumes 4 through 7. I think 7 is the most recent one that's out to read. And so, yeah, I'm really excited. It does have a desert setting, sort of a Middle Eastern inspired setting. So I am saving it for summer, which if you have seen part 1 of this list, I'm saving a lot of these for summer, so hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be able to get to them all. But I am a mood reader. I do like to read books that have an atmosphere or a setting, or, you know, something that reminds me of a certain season within that season. And so since this does have a very warm climate, I just feel like it's going to be good for summer. But I am really excited to continue this one. And then the other manga series that I have is My Hero Academia by Kohei Horikoshi. I'm really behind on this. The series is finishing, actually. It's already finished in Japanese, and I don't think... Has the final volume come out in English? I don't think it's come out quite yet. I think it's coming out soon. I could be wrong. It may have already come out. But I'm very behind on My Hero Academia, and I really want to get back into it. I had taken a break from it after volume 11, just because I had a lot going on at the time with like school and work and reading other things, and but it's so silly that I haven't like gotten back into it. It's just one of those things that the more you put it off, the harder it is to like go back to it. But I love My Hero Academia, and I really want to continue it. Plus, I watched the anime, like as I finish an arc in the manga, I then watch that arc in the anime, so I really want to watch the anime too. So I really, really want to get back into this. But My Hero Academia, we follow Izuku, who at the start of the series is about to finish middle school and enter high school, and he really, really wants to get into one specific high school, and that is UA, the high school in Japan that is known for training heroes, because Izuku lives in a world where most people are born with something called a quirk, which is a genetic mutation that allows you some sort of ability or physical characteristic that is not typical for humans, right? So these quirks can literally be anything. I mean, the possibilities are limitless, and that's one thing I love about the series is just the level of imagination that we see in all these people's different quirks. But as quirks started to become more and more prevalent and more people were being born with them, we had people who began to use their quirks to commit crimes. And so with the rise of the supervillain also came the rise of the superhero. And superheroing has kind of become a career at this point. You go to school and you're literally trained to do it. And then you get a job being a superhero. And all Izuku wants is to be a superhero and be able to, like, they call them pro heroes, to be able to go out and help people. However, Izuku was one of the few people who was born quirkless, meaning he does not have a quirk, and he faces a lot of prejudice because of this. But one day, Izuku meets his favorite hero, All Might, and learns that there may be a way for him to get a quirk, which is completely unheard of, and become a hero and fulfill his dream. And that's how the series starts, and it's all of that's volume 1 stuff, okay? So none of that is like spoilers for anything, but it is so much fun. There are so many like battles in here. Like I said, the quirks are so neat. Just learning about like pro hero culture and like how they try to regulate this. and seeing them going to school and all of these teenagers who are just so earnestly trying to be heroes and do good, and it's just wonderful, and I really enjoy it. There are some really dark moments so far. It's not like just light, fluffy academic manga. It can get quite dark, but I really, really love it. So I really want to get back into it this year. Okay, and then next I have a follow-up series to one of my favorite series of all time, and that is the Dreamer Trilogy by Maggie Stiefvater. So this is the second series in the Raven Cycle, which is the name of the first series kind of in this world. And this is book 1, Call Down the Hawk. So yes, this is book 1 in a series, but it is a continuation of the first series, which is a quartet of books. And I have been meaning to read this for so long. But I think the reason I keep putting it off is because I'm afraid I'm not going to like it as much as the Raven Cycle. I'm sure I'm going to love it. I'm just afraid it's not going to be as much because I fell so in love with those characters, and I know that one of the main characters from the Raven Cycle is the main character in this series as well. But I'm just worried that I really want the others to be in here too, and I'm worried about new characters being brought in and just how I'm going to feel, but I need to just read it. I had the same kind of fear with The Chronicles of Ozrath by Catherine Addison. After reading The Goblin Emperor, I put off The Cemeteries of Amalo for so long for the same reason, and it was so silly because I read that this year and I loved it immensely. I was like, why was I worried? Catherine Addison's character work is incredible. I love her characters. I loved Thara. And getting to follow him, even though we weren't following Maya anymore, like, it was still delightful and wonderful, and so I need to do the same thing here. I need to just read it. Yeah, so I'm not going to really go over the synopsis for this because I don't want to spoil anything for the first series, but The Raven Cycle is one of my favorite series of all time, so I just really need to get into the Dreamer Trilogy and see what's going on with my boy here. Make sure everything's okay. Okay, next I have Simon Snow by Rainbow Rowell. So I read the first book in the series years and years ago before it was ever even announced that it was going to be a series, back when it was still thought to be a standalone. And then it was announced that there was going to be continuation, and the second book came out. However, when I read the blurb for the second book, I got really worried that it was going to be sad and that it was going to end on a cliffhanger, or at least not in a great place. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to wait till the third book comes out. So I did. I waited until the third book came out. But then I was like, I don't know. After the third book came out, I was like, you know what, though? This one seems like it's going to have a lot of road trip vibes. Maybe it would be nice for the summer. So I was like, I'll put it off till next summer. And then it just became a cycle of me just not reading it. So I need to, though. I need to, because even if this one makes me sad, I still have the third one to then hopefully make me feel better again. So I have no reason to keep putting it off, and I need to read it. But in the first book in the series, we follow Simon Snow, who goes to a school for magic users. And there is a prophecy about him that says that he is going to be the chosen hero and he is going to defeat this great evil and save the world. However, Simon has absolutely no idea how he's going to do that. And so we follow him and his best friend and his academic rival, Baz, at this school, and seeing Simon trying to figure out how this evil is going to appear, who it's going to be, and what he's going to do about it. And it's just so fun, the way Rainbow Rowell the way she chose to portray the chosen one trope. I really, really enjoyed the first book. So I have no excuses. I just need to continue it. Then I have Solo Leveling by Chugong. I've only read the first book in this series as well, and I have collected all the way through book 7. So I'm still, I haven't even collected all that are out. And so the reason this one is on this list, 2 reasons. Number 1, I did enjoy it, and I'm really behind. And I just feel like I need to make some progress on this because I'm so far behind. And number 2, I really, really, really want to watch the anime really badly. However, I'm not going to watch the anime until I have made enough progress to read some of the manhwa. So I'm not going to read the manhwa until I've gotten through that content in the novels. And so I need to make some more progress on the novels so that I can then start the manhwa. And once I have read an arc in the manhwa, I can watch that arc in the anime. So I need to continue with Solo Leveling because, oh my goodness, so many people love the anime and so many people love the manhwa. And I'm like, I really enjoyed book one. Again, it's a light novel that is very, this one is very stat heavy and system based. It is not an isekai. The character is not transported to a new world, but the world that he is in has started having these things called dungeons that appear. And so you can become an adventurer and go into these dungeons and defeat the monsters there, gain prestige, get money. And so our main character, Jinwoo, has signed up to be an adventurer because he is trying to pay for help with his family. I can't remember if his sister is ill or if he's helping her with school, but he's basically trying to support his family. And so, however, Jinwoo is kind of the lowest ranking adventurer that you can be. He is not very skilled. But one day he is part of an adventuring party and they go into a dungeon that turns out a lot worse than it's supposed to be. Jinwoo saves everyone but gets abandoned and he thinks he's going to die. And when he wakes up, he has a system, so almost like computer program living in his head that is helping him to level up, which is not really something that should be done the way that Jinwoo is doing it. Like, this shouldn't be possible, but suddenly he finds himself getting stronger and stronger and more capable and becoming higher and higher ranked as an adventurer. And so, hence the name Solo Leveling, because he is leveling up on his own. And I really enjoyed the first book. Again, it has a lot of tropes that I like with this progression fantasy, the system element, and I really want to see where the series is going to go, and I really need to make progress on it. Plus, I really feel like I'm missing out with the anime. So, I need to make progress so that I can see the anime. That is my goal here. Next, I have another progression fantasy, but this one is Dragon Rider Epic Fantasy, and that is Songs of Chaos by Michael R. Miller. This is the third book in the series, Defiant. I loved the first two books. I love Dragon Rider stories, and this one is so much fun. We follow Holt Cook, who is the son of a cook, at a sort of base or facility for Dragon Riders. And Holt, while he is helping his father while he's working there, he learns a very disturbing secret about dragons, which is that they do not tolerate weakness in their young. So if an egg is laid that is at all deformed or seems defective in any way, the dragons will actually have it destroyed. And the riders allow this to happen. So Holt ends up saving an egg and hiding it away and hatching a baby blind dragon who he names Ash. So Holt ends up bonding with this dragon and becoming a dragon rider even though he was never supposed to. And so we get to follow him and Ash as they are trying to strengthen their bond and increase their ability and learn how to be a dragon and rider as a pair and to fight together, because there is this thing, I think it's called the Scourge, right? I'm pretty sure it's called the Scourge, if I'm remembering right, but I keep calling it that, and then I keep being afraid I'm getting it mixed up with something else. So there's this thing called the Scourge that is sort of ravaging the land, where it takes creatures who have died and turns them into these kind of bug-like zombie versions of themselves, and it can also infect living creatures. So the dragons and riders, one of their main duties is to fight against this. But Holt and Ash are learning that there may be something more sinister behind the Scourge. And I just really, really like the first two books. Where book two ended was like, I need to know what's happening with these guys and what's going on. Because so much happened in the second book, like so much with the plot progression. And so I really need to continue this book. Plus, I'm missing my Dragon Rider fantasy. So it's a really thick book. But yeah, I need to get back into this. I've been missing my dragon stories lately, and this would be a really good one to continue with. Okay, and then the last three on this list are all books that are going to be on my fall TBR. So we're stacking summer and fall, apparently, with series. But the next one is the Talents Trilogy by J.M. Miro. So this is book 2, Bringer of Dust, and it is the most recent book that is out so far in the series. I read Ordinary Monsters last year and loved it so much. Everything about it, the darkness, the found family, the Victorian setting, the magic, like just everything about it I loved. And so I'm definitely reading book 2 this fall. I'm so excited. In this series, we follow Alice, who has been hired by this institute in Scotland known as the Cairndale Institute. And she has the job of retrieving children who have magical abilities known as talents and bringing them back to the Cairndale Institute where they can learn how to control their abilities and be protected from the outside world. And so she has traveled to America with her partner Frank Colton in order to find 2 boys. Marlowe, who has the ability to manipulate flesh, either to heal or to do harm, and can also glow. And Charlie, who has the ability to heal from any wound that is inflicted upon him, so that basically he is immortal. And her job is to find these 2 boys and bring them back to the Cairndale Institute, again, so that they can learn to control their abilities and also be protected from the outside world, which this takes place during the Victorian period in England, and there is a lot of superstition against anything that's like magic, so these children are, basically taken care of at the Institute and kept safe. However, there is something that is after these 2 boys, and Alice finds herself having to contend with someone else who wants to get them as well, but for perhaps more nefarious purposes. She and the boys start to learn that maybe the Cairndale Institute is not exactly as it appears either. So I just really liked the first book. As I said, the darker parts of the story and the atmosphere. I also loved the way that it takes place in different parts of the world. We get to see so many different characters and their stories and what made them who they are, and seeing them struggle with their own personal tragedies and seeing different characters bonding with one another and that found family aspect. But also the mystery is really intriguing. And I really, really enjoyed it. So I'm really looking forward to reading book 2 this fall. Then I have the next book in a series that is, I don't want to say based on, it's more like stories within the world of one of my favorite podcasts. And that is Welcome to Nightville. So this is the most recent novel that has been released in the Welcome to Nightville world. And that is The Faceless Old Woman Who Secretly Lives in Your Home by Joseph Fink and Jeffrey Craner. As I said, Welcome to Nightville is one of my favorite podcasts. I love it immensely. And I've read the first 2 novels in this world, which are called Welcome to Nightville and It Devours. But I've had this one for a while and I just haven't read it, and I don't really know why. But I really want to, because it follows one of the characters from the podcast who is the faceless old woman who secretly lives in your home, as the title suggests. And I believe that we're actually going to get some backstory for her in this book, which is so exciting because she is one of the most mysterious characters in the podcast, and that's saying something because you just don't really know anything about her. And I'm excited to kind of get some backstory and see who she is, how she got to Nightville, why she doesn't have a face, why she secretly lives in people's homes. I'm intrigued. So, really want to read this one, and because it's Nightville, and it's probably going to be creepy, spooky, and also really fun and quirky, I'm saving it for fall. And then last on this list, I have a graphic novel series, and that is The Witch Boy by Molly Knox Ostertag. So I read, again, the first volume in this last fall, really enjoyed it, and I have the next 2 volumes that are out, which are The Hidden Witch and The Midwinter Witch. And I really want to read this fall. Maybe kind of... The Midwinter Witch, I wonder if it would be better to read in winter, so maybe I'll read this in November, kind of at that border between fall and winter. But yeah, I really enjoyed The Witch Boy. We follow Aster. Yes. Aster, who is born into a family of witches and shapeshifters. So all of the women in his family are trained to be witches and use their magic to cast spells, while all of the men are shapeshifters. And their shift kind of comes to them as they, get closer to puberty and get a little bit older. However, Aster has never found his shift. He wants nothing more than to be a witch. That's all that he wants. He wants to learn how to use magic and cast spells, and he's really good at it. But his family has these very, very set gender rules in place, and they do not allow him to train to be a witch. However, one day, something starts stealing Aster's male cousins, and he may be the only one who can save them. So I really like what this has to say about gender norms. Obviously, this is in a different sort of setting than like in our society, because this is in a magical family and their rules, but it still really applies to just this idea that women are supposed to do a certain thing and men are supposed to do a certain thing, and that's just the way that it is. And I think that I really like the way that this story handles that, because you see some people who are very accepting of it, other people who are not, people who are young and don't really know what to think, and they're just going by what their elders tell them. And it's just got a lot about self-acceptance and acceptance of people's differences and, breaking those gender norms and doing what you want despite what people tell you you should want. So I really liked the first book, and I really am excited to continue it. Plus, they're just really cozy, the style of illustration. Like, look at that. It's just so cozy. So I do really want to continue this series this fall. All right, so those are the last 11 series that I have on this list. I have a ton more that I really, really want to start this year. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to get to everything that I want to read within a single calendar year, but I have my very ambitious list of series that I want to continue. And then I have a very long list of series that I want to start. I did a video at the beginning of the year of series that I want to start this year, so I will link that below. Although, of course, more books have come in as the year has gone on, and that list has probably expanded quite a bit. But you can at least see what I was thinking when the year started. So I'll link that down below, as well as part 1 of this series continuation video. But yeah, so I hope that maybe you guys found some series that you would like to try or that you are interested in. If you are, or if you've read any of these, I'd love to talk to you guys about it in the comments. Just please keep all comments spoiler free. Or if you have any series that you're excited to read this year or any that you would like to recommend to me, I would love to hear that as well. If you want to leave an emoji, let's do maybe a little rain cloud, because as I said, at the time I'm filming this, it has been raining for days. So we'll just have a nice little rainy day in the comment section. So you can leave an emoji with your comment, or if you just want to let me know you were here but you don't really have anything to say, you can put a rain cloud or a couple. I genuinely love talking to you guys in the comments. It really makes me happy to form this community with all of you and to get to talk about stories with everyone. So I really appreciate all of your comments. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you are having a wonderful day or wonderful night wherever you are, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!
What'd you do, Ash? Can you see out?
I know.
Can you fix it?
Ash.
Oh, he's blinking. He's a blinking.
What did you do? Are you in a curtain?
Can you fix it so you can see out?
I think he's just given up.
Okay, well. Do you want help?
Oh, he seems comfortable.
You want help?
He likes for it. I think he was trying to have it behind him though.
I know.
He likes to have it kind of draped around him.
Here, come here.
Yeah, I think that's what he was trying to do.
There you go. There you go. Now,
Ashy.
now he's good.
Oh, there he goes, settling in.